When you're prepping, what can you expect at at the race for check-in? You're going to go first off. You're going to check in. Navigating the race check-in can be stressful. If you don't know what to expect, it's definitely going to be stressful, not only for you but mostly for your athlete. We're going to cover the process from start to finish. Your fingernails to suit inspection, numbering, time chips, and tickets. This is how you prepare for it so you can breeze through it on race day. First off, site preparation and inspection. Talk to your local fishermen. Find out what the course looks like. Is it triangle? Is it an oval? Is it a rectangle? Is it circular? What's it look like? Local landmarks for sighting. Where are you looking to do your next site? It could be a building. It could be the top of a mountain. It could be a grouping of trees. But those are all things that can help you sight around a buoy. Where are the turns located? Who's the competition? Where's the feeding station going to be located? Is it going to be close to the start? Close to the finish? Is it somewhere in the middle? That's all very important to plan out. What are the expected conditions? Conditions of the water, conditions of the air, temperatures. You need to know all of that. How many competitors are there in the race? I mean, a 5-person race is completely different than 40. And it's not, just because it's 5 doesn't make it easier. 40 can make it easier, especially if you're up front. But if there's 40 and you've got to navigate through a large group of swimmers, those are all things that you need to have, in your head and locked in. If it's only going to be 5, that's a different race strategy. And so know how many are going to be there. Where are the emergency stations located? What happens if you get in trouble? Where do I go? How do I signal that I need help? What's going on there? Is it going to be in an ambulance? Is it going to be a doctor? Is it just lifeguards? What's going to be there? What are the expected water temps? What can affect this? We did a swim in Lake Geneva, Switzerland, and we were swimming from Evian to Switzerland and back. Dave and I were in a boat and we were escorting on a workout swim. It was really, really cold. The air was cold the week before. And we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrendous. It's going to be cold water, and this is going to be bad. Dave and I were out on the boat, and the sun pops out and it starts really heating up. And we're thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. This is going to be awesome. And as we went further away from Evian, France, I took a look back behind me, and all of a sudden we came out from the foothills of the Swiss mountains, and all of a sudden the mountain range was just right in the back, all snow covered, Swiss mountains right behind where we came. We happened to be in the foothills, so we couldn't see any of it. As we went further out, we could. So we're like hooting and hollering, yeah, it's hot. It's gonna be awesome. Water's gonna warm up and everything. Well, lo and behold, it did warm up. It was like a heat wave that hit the area, the region, and the snow began to melt in the mountains. And where does the water go from the mountains? Into Lake Geneva. And next thing you know, the water temperatures started to go down, and it's getting colder and colder and colder. The air temperature was great. The water temperature was cold. So here's something that we didn't ever come in contact with that before, but we were thinking, hey, hot air, warmer water. Well, in reality, it was hotter air, colder water, because it melted the snow. The snow got into the lake, and that was colder temperature. And we actually had issues because of that with our athletes. and it was not because we didn't prepare for it, but because it was actually cold, and cold is cold. So we dealt with hypothermia, with some of our athletes. So these are some of the things that you learn. We lived and learned, and now we know. Depending if you're in dry land, or flat land, hotter air usually will mean top water will be a little bit warmer, which can be a good thing. But if you're in the mountains, chances are that could be the reverse. So definitely, need to take into account that you'll learn along the way as well. Um, let's see. All right, what what kind of aquatic creatures and plants might play a part in the course? All right, this is very important. If you're in the ocean, understand that everybody's worried about sharks. Well, sharks are there. You know, they may not necessarily be in your immediate area, but they're out there. There's barracuda, there's stingrays, there's turtles, there's all kinds of things. Um, we did just this couple of weeks ago. I was in the Cayman Islands, and we did a flower sea swim, and we did a 10K. It was a 10K for the Pan Am Open Water Series. And while I was out there on a jet ski, I came across about a 4 or 5 foot nurse shark. Nurse sharks aren't known to be, aggressive. Um, so much so that their mouths are on the bottom, so they're kind of bottom feeders. It makes it very difficult for them to attack any kind of a human. But it was there. Um, I remember that we were in Hawaii, and I had a swimmer that was swimming a 25-kilometer swim, and every time he passed this one spot, he would stop and slow down, and I thought he was just kind of recouping, but at the end of the race, I asked him what he was doing, and he said, "Well, every time I passed this one spot, I saw a bunch of hammerhead, and I wanted to watch them." I was like, "Nathan, why didn't you say anything?" And he said, "Well, because they were so far down there." And I said, "Well, Nathan, they can swim up, and they have that ability, but they're there, and it does impact sometimes the swim." So I remember finally a race in Perth, Australia, and they had two great white shark attacks a week before the race on the same course that we were going to be swimming in. And fortunately, the water temperatures had changed and shifted further south of the course. So the chances of, the great white being in that area was going to be slim. Fortunately, it was. But we had helicopters up there. They had, observation boats and so on. These are all things you have to take into account. So definitely know what aquatic creatures are going to be there. If there's going to be seaweed, is that something that they need to avoid? Certainly don't want to get too deep into something that's really thick. It would make it difficult for an athlete to swim, and if they panic, it could not could be not good. So definitely prepare for the race by doing this in open water practices, training for open water swims, race specific training, Again, those are your paces. You can do this through your pool open water. You can practice the course. You can do your skills training, navigation. How are you going to navigate? Excuse me. How are you going to navigate the course? You can work on your sighting, looking forward to set your direction. That's one way. Excuse me. That should do it. I usually am a two sneezer. But make it part of your stroke as far as how you're going to prepare for the swim. So practice in the open water swims, or during practice, either lifting high or staying low. We already know you want to sight on your exhale. The side you take your breath on is the side that will guide you in your, when you sight. But you definitely want to be able to bilateral breathe on both sides. If you've got water crashing down on your right side and you can't breathe on your left, then all you're going to do is keep getting that water in your, every time you're sucking in water every time you breathe. So you definitely want to be able to breathe to the left and vice versa. You want to make sure that you keep your breath pattern. All right. Very much like if you change your pattern during a pool race, you can get a cramp in your side. It's the steady pattern of breathing that will prevent, cramps from happening, and being able to control breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And it helps, keep your body regular and on track. You want to definitely practice your turns. You definitely want to do the work on the shallow part. Where does the course get shallow? Is it further, inland, or is it going to be further out? Is there a reef? Is there like a cliff, or just before a drop off? So this also can change. It can be wavier and choppier in the shallow than it is in the deep. So this will kind of change that a little bit. All right. How are you going to deal with physical aggression? And the one way that definitely helps is like when you're doing 3 wide, 4 wide training in the pool. Just if you're doing some warm down in your normal practice, you can take your open water swimmers and even your sprinters and just say, hey, we're going to do 10 50-meter swims. Everybody hop into this one, these 3 lanes, and we're going to go 3 or 4 wide and ready, go. And just get them used to, swimming side by side. And then a couple of them, you can tell them, hey, you can be a little more aggressive, do some bumping and so on, just so they can prepare for it. Feeding and hydration, you got to stay on top of that. Gel packs, how to break and take a gel pack. We had a young man Chip Peterson, and he was the first world champion in the 10-kilometer swim ever, and it was in Montreal, Canada. We trained in a lake in New York, Mirror Lake, and at the Olympic Village. And he had the hardest time. He would take it and tear the top, and then he'd squeeze it from out here, and it would just, spray all over his face. He'd get so upset. And, but eventually he got it. He was able to get it into his mouth, squeeze, and then, drop the pack. But he went on to win the first ever 10K World Championship. That was pretty fun to watch. and he didn't know anything about what he was doing before he started. So we had some really good training in prepping those kids. Practice your turns, acclimatization. So you definitely want them to be acclimated to the water temp, to the weather conditions, and so on. Cold water, warm water, tactical knowledge, all of that stuff you definitely have to work on. Mental approach, definitely going through, the anxieties and so on.